Hello, this is Keenan Park, and this is Wylock 7th grade worksheet lesson 3. So for our graph, we have this graph over here, and it's comparing the number of flowers to the number of petals, and for these several different types of flowers. So for our first question, we have look at this graph, and which flower has 3 petals? Be sure to show your work. So I think it's kind of hard to see the lines over here, so we can just use the lines over here. And we can see the rose has 24 petals, the violet has, looks like 20, the tulip has 16, and the mariposa lily has 12. And obviously none of these are 3, but that's because there are 4 flowers. So we need to divide by the number of flowers so that we can get the number of petals per flower. So you can try dividing 24 by 4, that would be 6. Dividing 20 by 4 would be 5. Dividing 16 by 4 would be 4. And dividing 12 by 4 would be 3. And so we're looking for the one that has 3 petals, so it will be the mariposa lily. And then how many petals does a violet have? Well, if you look at a violet, you can just divide this number by 4. Remember we saw it was 20 before? So 20, divide that by 4, we get 5 if we divide that by 4. So a violet has 5 petals. And then which flower has 4 petals? Well, we can do a similar thing. You'll find that it's the tulip, which has 16 when there's 4 of them. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So this one would be the tulip. Moving on, we have these questions not related to the graph. So 5 flies have 20 wings and 7 flies have 28 wings. How many wings does a fly have? Be sure to show your work. So for this problem, we're assuming that all the flies have the same number of wings. So we divide 20 by 5 because we're trying to find how many wings there are per fly. So we have to go wings, and then per usually means division. It means division. Like if I have 5 apples per box, that means there's 5 apples being spread up into one box, which is the same as 15 apples per 3 boxes. So if I have 20 wings per 5 flies, 20 over 5, well, that's equal to 4. So each fly has 4 wings. And there's this other number here. Technically, we don't actually need it, but we can also do the same thing, 28 over 7, and this will also give us 4. So they both give us the same answer, and that's a good way to check our answer is correct. And now we're going to be solving for the variable. X plus 8 equals 13. So as you probably know, one of the rules of algebra is that you can do the same operation to both sides, and it will not change the equality. So in this case, I can subtract 8 from both sides to get x. The plus 8 and the minus 8 cancel out, so we get nothing here, equals 13 minus 8, which is 5. So x equals 5. And the reason I chose to do a minus 8 on both sides is because we want to isolate the variable. And since this x is with a pesky number over here, we just have to subtract by this number to cancel these two out, and that will leave our x all by itself. Similar process for this y. I subtract 16 on both sides to get it alone. So we get y, 16's cancel, equals 25 minus 16. 25 minus 16 is 9. Now we have a different one. Instead of adding a number to it, we have a variable is being subtracted from. So to compensate or to cancel it out, we will add 11 to both sides. So we get z, and then minus 11 plus 11, this cancels out. So 1 plus 11 is 12. So we have z equals 1 plus 11, which is z equals 12. For this next problem, we have 5w equals 20. Now, once again, we want to get this w all by itself. So we'll divide both sides by 5, because the opposite of this multiplication is division, which will cancel these two out. Always do it to both sides. And then these cancel out to give us w equals 20 over 5, which we know is 4. For number 5, we do the same thing, divide both sides by 8 to get the b by itself. 72 divided by 8, that's equal to 9. And then this time it's a division here, so we're going to have to multiply both sides by 8, because multiplication is the opposite, the inverse operation of division. So if you want to cancel out, you'll do the inverse operation. So you get f is equal to 4 times 8, which is 32. And lastly, we have 7x minus 9 equals 19. This one's a little bit more complicated than the previous ones because there are two numbers we have to get rid of. So first I will add 9 to both sides. And that will give us 7x equals 19 plus 9 is 28. And then you divide both sides by 7 and you get x equals 4. 28 divided by 7 is 4. And the reason you do the addition first is because that makes it a lot easier. If you want to divide both sides by 7, you're going to have to deal with fractions. And that's because if we have 7x minus 9 equals 19, when you divide both sides by 7, you can't just divide this part by 7. That's illegal. That's not a real move. Because like I said previously, the law of algebra only works if you do it to both sides. And that means the whole side, the entire side, not just one term of the side. So you have to extend this line over and divide the whole thing by 7. And as you notice, this gives us some pretty nasty fractions. 7x minus 9 all over 7 and 19 over 7 does not simplify. So what we'll end up having to do is we have to split this fraction to 7x over 7 minus 9 over 7 equals 19 over 7. And then 7 over 7x is, well, x. And then we still have to add 9 over 7 to both sides. And then that will give us, this cancels, 19 plus over 7 plus 9 over 7 is 28 over 7, which equals 4. So you can see this is a lot messier, so it's definitely preferable to do the addition first. True or false is the number of solution of the equation. So we can do it like before. We can just try using algebra to solve, but it's easier if they already give us the number. To verify it, all we have to do is plug it in. So we'll just say x equals 8, and so this becomes 8 plus 9 equals 17, and well, that's true, so this is true. 9 plus 4y equals 17, and we're going to plug in 1. 9 plus 4y, this means it's being multiplied, so 4 times 1, and the dot is used for multiplication. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but instead of using crosses, we use dots for multiplication when you go to more advanced high school level math. Equals 17. And so 4 times 1 is just 4. So you get 9 plus 4 equals 17. And 9 plus 4 is 13. And this is very much not true. So this is not true. 6f minus 7 equals 29. And we plug in the 5. So 6f is 6 times 5 minus 7 equals 29. 6 times 5 is 30. So you get 30 minus 7 equals 29. And then 30 minus 7 is 23. And this is also very not true. And always remember to do the multiplication first before the addition, because depending on how you learn it, it doesn't really matter. The multiplication will always be before addition. So I'm not sure if you guys have learned PEMDAS, where we have parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, these are together, and addition and subtraction, which are also together. There's another way that is a little different. There's gems, which is groupings, which is the same as parentheses. Exponents, again, multiplication and division, because division is just the inverse operation of multiplication, and S is subtraction, the inverse of addition. So these covered both. Always just remember that multiplication doesn't necessarily come before division. It just depends on the order you write it in. Most of these problems are pretty simple, so I'll just skip over to, let's say, like the last one. You can plug in 2. So we plug in 2 for y. So 15 minus 4 times 2 equals 6. 4 times 2 is 8. So we get 15 minus 8 equals 6. And this is not true because 15 minus 8 equals 7. And 7 is not 6. So that's all for today. And See you next time.